Good day, everyone. Today we will be discussing what is communication for various purposes. But before we will go on to our discussion proper, we will first discuss our objectives. Our first objective is to impart coherent ideas about communication and its various purpose. Second is to narrow down the topic by defining the terms under it. And the last one is to give the audience a better understanding about the presented topic at the end of the presentation. In our everyday lives, we are communicating to one another, may it be formal or the other way around. And we cannot deny the fact that communication became part of us already, as it allows us to understand each other. And aside from that, it also allows development to take place. Through exchanging of ideas, better plans may arise, thus leading to a solution of a problem undertaking. So indeed, communication is part of us already, and I know you will agree with me. Am I right? Okay, thank you. Okay, let us go back to the definition of communication. So, communication is given the definition as the key to directing function of management. It is also the fundamental to the existence and survival of humans as well as to an organization, and it is also the process of creating and sharing of ideas, views, facts, feelings among the people to reach a common understanding. And yes, precisely, we were able to survive up to this very moment because of our capability and skills to communicate with each other. So, in doing a presentation, be it be oral or written, requires a lot of preparation. Writing a presentation, for example, requires pre-writing activities, actual writing, and revising or rewriting. All three stages of writing are equally important in doing a writing project. Similarly, an oral presentation consists of multiple stages and tasks. In presenting ideas, you need to keep in mind the reason behind your task and the intended audience that will listen to you or read your work. Therefore, as you will plan your presentation, you must always keep in mind the purpose of your task and for whom it is intended. You must therefore ask yourself the following question. Why am I doing the presentation? Am I going to explain, argue, persuade, or just simply inform? Who am I presenting to? Who will be the people who will listen to me or read my work? And the last one is, what is my intended outcome upon completing my presentation? So now we will be dealing with the purpose of communication, and the first one would be informative. So the main purpose of informative or expository communication or writing is to simply convey information factually. Its goal is to input new learning, enhance prior knowledge, confirm a concept, elevate comprehensions of an idea, or explain a process or procedure. So in writing an informative text, you have to assume truthfulness of the idea that you wanted to get across your intended reader. You also have to answer the primary questions who, what, when, where, why, and how. In any informative discourse, you have to draw information from your prior knowledge and support it with facts from primary and secondary sources. So in addition, you have to include facts, relevant examples, and important details in your work. Its best examples would be newspaper articles and magazine entries. Also, there are some tips flashed on your screens, which is to stick to the facts, avoid repetition, and make it clear. So in having of informative communication, you need to consider these following tips to make it more concise, brief, but is direct to the point. So the second one is the persuasive. So it is flashed on your screens on where it is about, and best examples would be politicians, periodical editors, and marketing strategies have one thing in common. They like making people believe and support the idea they want to push across. Actually, we are exposed to persuasive discourse every day, By watching TV commercials, reading periodical advertisements, and looking at billboards, we are exposed to persuasion, consciously or subconsciously. It is also very important that you know how to organize persuasively. Also, this discourse requires you to develop your reasoning skills as well as to develop research skills. To develop your reasoning skills, you will have to formulate reasons to support the opinion that you want to convey. These reasons should be based on factual evidences that you will encounter while researching from your varied sources. Its best example is selling, and there are also tips flashed on your screens on how to do the persuasive communication. So the last one is the argumentative. To argue does not necessarily mean to fight. Argumentation is like persuasion, but it differs in its purpose. Unlike persuasion, which convince listeners, readers to support your idea, in argumentation, it tries to make listeners or the readers believe that your idea is better based on the various reasons that you have at hand. So basically, an argumentation is logical and reasoned way to demonstrate one's point of view, belief, conclusion, or position. So in argumentation, therefore, you need to make a claim and you need to defend your claim by supporting it with facts and evidences from varied and credible sources. So in a debate, for example, one side is arguing that their position is better than the other, and vice versa. In a meeting d'avance, each candidate is arguing that he or she is better choice than the other. Also, in a group of students doing a project, one may argue that his idea is more feasible than the other. So those are examples of argumentative communication. So along with the example are the tips on how to do the argumentative communication, just like in informative and in persuasive communication.
Public speaking. Public speaking, as the term implies, is a way of making your ideas public, of sharing them with other people and of other people. Because of the importance of public speaking, it has been taught and studied around the globe for thousands of years, and still being taught and studied today in all parts of the world. Lindsay Pollack, a career expert, says that it is so rare to find somebody who has that combination of really good technical skills and really good verbal communication skills. You will be head and shoulders above your colleagues if you can combine these two. And according to Lucas 2015, he noted how people use public speaking as a vital means of communication through history. Elements for good delivery. Number 1. Volume. In delivering a speech, you have to adjust your voice according to what your topic is all about. Number 2. Pitch. Varied inflections of pitch. Number 3. Rate. Vocal attributes. Number 4. Poses. In delivering a speech, you better have a proper poses so that your speech will not be slow or fast. Number 5. Vocal variety. Appropriate change of voice. You have to change of voice appropriately so that it can liven up your listener or audience. And you have to appropriate change your voice according to the topic. For example, if you are telling a story about a character. Number 6. Pronunciation. In delivering a speech, you have to pronounce properly every single word so that the listener or audience will understand your speech. Number 7. Articulation. Articulate every letters and syllable. Number 8. Movement. In delivering a speech, you have to move from one place to another so that your audience will be more interested in listening to your speech. Number 9. Gestures. Simple gestures is needed. Why? Because it helps you to express the emotion of your speech. Number 10. Eye contact. You should make eye contact to your listener or audience so that they can feel that you are really talking to them. How to avoid nervousness. Number 1. Acquire speaking experience. If you have speaking experience, you will become calm and more confident in speaking about your speech. Number 2. Prepare. Before doing a public speaking, you have to prepare what you will do. You have to prepare about your topic and about your speech, and also you have to prepare if you are on the stage, what will you do. Number 3. Think positively and believe in yourself that you have enough confidence to perform your speech properly and smoothly. 4. Use the power of visualization. Number 5. Know that most nervousness is not visible. Number 6. Do not expect perfection. When performing a speech during a public speaking, we should not expect perfection or that our speech will become perfect. But instead, we should put in our mind that we can deliver the speech properly so that the audience will understand our speech. Lucas 2015 advises that be at your best physically and mentally so that you will not regret anything, because you know that you did your best to deliver your speech properly. Relax so that you can be calm when performing a public speaking. Breathe in, breathe out, so that you can also be calm. Give a attention grabber introduction and everything will follow smoothly. Concentrate in your task.
Interview. An interview is a two-party interaction in which at least one party has a specific, serious purpose, and that usually involves asking and answering questions. So interview is a two-party interaction or a two-person interaction which at least one party has a specific. An interview has a serious purpose, and that usually involves asking and answering questions. And interviews plays a central role in the world of work. Employers interview prospective employees or applicants. Supervisors use performance appraisal interviews. Human resources personnel use exit interviews. Healthcare providers, attorneys, counselors, and salespeople interview their clients. Police officers, journalists, and social workers do investigate interviews. Business people and making professionals conduct survey interviews. Common characteristics of an interview. We have 3 common characteristics of an interview. Number 1 is involves two parties. Interview is always involved two parties. Sa pag-interview ay kailangang may kasama kang tao na makukunan mo ng mga informasyon. And number 2 is purposeful. Interviewing is always purposeful. Kailangan na pag i-interview ay may layunin kung ano ang nais na itanong or nais na masagot. And number 3 is there is focus on asking and answering question. So number 3 is you should always focus on in answering questions. You should avoid not related on the interview or hindi kasali sa pagkakandak ng interview. Pieces of advice. We have 6 pieces of advice. Number 1 is define goal. Defining the goal in any interview, you should make your goal as clear as possible. So when you are conducting an interview, just make your goal as clear as possible to be accomplish your goal. Number 2, identify and analyze the other party respondents. In identifying and analyzing the other party respondents, you cannot always choose who you will interview with, but when you have options, picking the right persons can make your conversations more useful and successful. Number 3, prepare a list of topics. When you are conducting an interview, you should prepare a list of topics so that it can help you to get all the information you need and to accomplish your goal, to be successful the interview you conducted. Number 4, choose the best interview structure. You may choose a structured interview which consists of a standardized list of questions that allow only a limited range of answers with no follow-up. So, pwede ka rin pumili ng structured interview na which consists of a standardized list of questions na wala ng na hindi kasali ang limited range of answers and wala na rin follow-up questions, or unstructured interview which permits the conversation to flow in whatever direction seems most productive. Or lastly, the moderate structured interview which allows the interviewer to prepare a list of topics, anticipates their probable order, designs major questions, possible follow-ups, proves. Number 5, consider possible questions. Questions may be primary, open, factual, or direct. They may be secondary, close, and hypothetical. Questions may also be leading. A good interviewer considers these questions, types of tools, and chooses the right combination to get the right information he or she wants to uncover. Number 6, arrange the setting. The setting must be free of distractions, sometimes based away from the respondent's normal habitat. Be mindful also the arrangement of furniture and seating arrangements, as this dictate formality or guidelines in conducting an interview. Number 1, open with a greeting in an orientation. In open with a greeting in an information, this is the opening is also the time for motivating the interviewee to cooperate in giving a sense of what will follow. Explain the reason for the interview, explain what information is needed and how it will be used. Clarify any ground rules. Mention also the approximate length of time of the interview. So this is the time for you to motivate your participant to cooperate and giving a sense of what will follow. And dito din i-explain mo kung ano ang rason for the interview, and explain the information or ano ang information na kailangan and paano ito gagamitin. Number 2, perform several tasks during the question and answer phase of the discussion. Control and focus the conversation. Listen actively. Use secondary questions to probe for important information. So you should, in this part, you should control and focus to the conversation. You should listen actively, and you can also use secondary questions to probe for important information. Number 3, close with a satisfactory conclusion. Review and clarify the results of the interview if needed. establish future actions, finally conclude with pleasant tries.
So, in conducting an interview, you need to follow the tips that are flashed on your screens. We have 8 tips, and you need to keep this in mind for a better flow of the interview, better flow of the conversation between the interviewer and the interviewee. So first is we need to formally inform that you will be conducting or attending an interview. Second is being punctual is key in making a good impression. The third would be dress to impress. Fourth is always start with a strong handshake. Fifth is color your words with kindness. Sixth, avoid unnecessary stories. Seven is do not lose your eye contact during interview. And the last one would be the magic word is always thank you.